Around the world, people are taking to the streets and protesting their governments in hopes that they will bring about change. Now, to start this afternoon, we wanted to take you through some of the major protests that have been shaking the globe, but often don't get enough media attention. RT's Rachel Blevins is joining me now to break down all of the details. Rachel, what can you tell us about these protests and the people who are taking to the streets?
Well, Scotty, we continue to see an increased level of unrest around the world as citizens take part in protests against their government's policies. Now let's start in Spain, where thousands of protesters have taken to the streets in multiple cities after Spain's Supreme Court sentenced 9 Catalan separatist leaders to between 9 and 13 years in prison for their roles in a failed independence bid back in 2017. Now, while the court acquitted the leaders of the charges of violent rebellion, they were convicted of charges that include sedition, misuse of public funds, and disobedience. Nearly 40 people have been injured in the protests that are still ongoing right now, and police were seen in full riot gear as crowds gathered at Barcelona's international airport. In addition to impacting more than 100 flights on Monday, the protests sparked at least 45 flight cancellations on Tuesday. Then in Ecuador, nearly 2 weeks of massive protests could be reaching an end after the Ecuadorian government reached a deal with indigenous leaders. Now, thousands were seen rejoicing in the streets in the country's capital after President Moreno agreed to cancel an austerity package that cut fuel subsidies and sent prices soaring, sparking violent protests that left 7 people dead and more than 1,300 injured. Following the deal, members of the indigenous community were seen engaging in cleanup efforts after they called off future demonstrations and road blockades. Meanwhile, in Haiti, a 5th week of protest is underway as tens of thousands of citizens take to the streets calling for the country's president to resign. Now, allegations of corruption among Haiti's government officials has grown in the country as it battles inflation and residents suffer from fuel and food shortages. Now, the violent demonstrations have left nearly 20 people dead and nearly 200 injured. Hundreds of businesses have been forced to close, and an estimated 2 million students have been prevented from going to school. So, Scotty, these are just a few of the protests that we've seen around the world, but they really do show that people have power whenever they gather together in a mass amount to speak out about something they believe in.
And Rachel, protests are nothing new to the world. However, I think it's the number and the reasons and what unites them that makes this so interesting. Thank you so much, Rachel, for covering.
Thank you.
Now to another major.
Barakatay hawo, barakatay hawo shai, barakatay hawo, barakatay hawo shai, kalalam la yahawo, bahashem yahawo shai, shane kabad, shalayakem nawa, wazakwanyem nawa, wa shalawam, wa barakatam, shaya bakayayam, shaya shahala. Alright, that is all praise to Yahweh, which is the true name of the Heavenly Father, the power of the universe. Right, Yahweh Shai, the true name of the Son of the Heavenly Father, the Messiah, the Mashiach of the nation of Israel. Right, Shalom and double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who feed us in His truth, who are the elders and leaders and apostles of Israel. Right, whether you accept it or not. Right, blessings and peace to you, Akim out there, who are of the sincere elect, who are pushing this word, the sisters, the believers, the helps, who make up that 1/3, right? The elect of the nation of Israel, whom the Heavenly Father, through His Son Yahweh Shai, will give mercy to, who will receive forgiveness and pardon for their sins and deliverance from the coming apocalypse that will come upon this earth, right? Akim, we are living, and Akwath, we are living in beautiful times, scary times, but very important times. Right, we are witnessing the downfall, right, of this present kingdom. We are witnessing the unraveling, the taking down, the destruction of Mystery Babylon the Great and the beast system, right, which is the 4th beast that was that received a deadly wound and now lives again, right, in the form of NATO and the EU and America, which is that woman in scarlet color riding the beast, riding the nations. Right, we're seeing the downfall of Esau's system, right? And what you're seeing now, the process raging all across the world, right? In every continent, there are major protests and major uproars going on among the people. All these things are prophecies, right? And we're living in beautiful times where the prophecies are speaking clearly, where Akim can see and be confident in these things, right? Let us move on to the precepts, right? So this year we have 2nd Ezra chapter 9, And verse 1, it says, he answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs pass which I have told thee before, then thou shalt understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest shall begin to visit the world which he made. Right? Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the earth, all right, or in the world, then shall thou well understand that the Most High spake of these things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. So we see all these things happening now, right? There are diverse earthquakes taking place across the world. But what I want to focus on in this video is the uproars of the people in the world that's going on right now. Numerous brothers have done videos on it because it's the spirit, right, that's leading us to prophesy of these things that are coming to pass, right? To pour out, right, the truth of the Heavenly Father and to point out the signs, right? To point out the signs that are on the earth right now, right? It's not a coincidence that so many people have taken up upon themselves to go against their governments, right? To go against their leaders, to protest for whatever rights they think they have. Violent protests in which people are being killed and injured, right? All these different things are happening because the Spirit of the Heavenly Father, through the influence of the angels and different spirits, right, are pushing people to do these things to fulfill His word. And we as the oracles and as the prophets of the Heavenly Father speak to you about these things and point out to you about these things that are coming on the earth, right? And all these things are precursors to much more difficult things that are coming on the earth, It says, for like as all that is made in the world hath a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest, even so the times of the highest have plain beginnings in wonderful and powerful works, and signs and endings in effects and signs, right? And everyone that shall be saved and shall be able to escape by his works and by faith, whereby ye have believed, right, shall be preserved from the said perils, and shall see my salvation in my land and within my borders, for I have sanctified them for me from the beginning. This is speaking about the elect of the nation of Israel, those who will be delivered, who will escape by what? By their works and by their faith, right? Because through works your faith is made perfect. Who have what? Who have believed in the hope of the promises made unto our forefathers, This is 2 Ezra chapter 15, I'll start verse 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up to fight against another with swords in their hand. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings, right? And the course of their action shall stand in their power. Let's look up that word sedition, see what it means, right? Sedition. Right, and see if this is not an example of some of the rights that we see, right? Incitement of resistance to or insurrection against lawful authority. Are we not seeing that, right? Even over there in China, in Hong Kong, where the people of Hong Kong, thinking themselves to be a separate entity from China, are resisting the authority of the Chinese government, right? Are saying that they should be autonomous within the Chinese borders, mind you. They want to be autonomous, right? But we know that all these things are set up, by certain powers, right? All these different protests, some of them are set up by different powers, but ultimately all things are working on the Spirit of the Heavenly Father, right? So there shall be sedition among men and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings, nor their princes, nor their politicians, nor their pastors, and the course of their action shall stand in their power, right? Let's move on. This is Luke chapter 21. I'll start at verse 9. It says, but when ye shall hear of wars and commotions, be not terrified, for these things must first come to pass, but the end is not by and by. Let's look up that word commotions, right? So the word commotions here, let me see if I can play it.
Strong's G 181, akatastasia. Akatastasia.
Which sounds pretty much like catastrophe to me, but let's read the definition. It says instability, disorder, commotion, confusion, tumult. And if you look up the dictionary definition for commotion, it says a state of confused and noisy disturbance. Is that not what we are seeing right now, right? Go down to the Bible usage. Instability, a state of disorder, disturbance, confusion. That's what we're seeing, right? That's what we're seeing with all these protests that are raging across the earth, yo, right? Commotions, right? It says, then said he unto them, nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. That's talking about race wars and the ultimate World War III that's coming to pass, yo, right? And great earthquakes, which we read about before, shall be in diverse places, famines, pestilences, and fearful sights, and great signs shall there be from heaven, right? All these different things we're looking for now, and they're happening, yo, right? Habakkuk chapter 2, and I'll start verse 3. It says, for the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. This is the end right now, and the prophecies are speaking, yo. How can we not speak when the prophecies are speaking so clearly, right? We have to speak as well. We are the men who are supposed to be occupied in prophecy. We are the watchmen who are supposed to warn the people of the different things that are happening, yo, right? It says, though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry, and it's coming right now, right? It's coming right now. Luke 12, we're going to wrap up with this. Luke 12, Luke chapter 12, and I'll start at verse 54. It says, and he said, this is Yahushua speaking, and he said also to the people, when ye see a cloud rise out of the west, straightway ye know, or ye say, there cometh a shower, and so it is. And when ye shall see the south wind blow, ye say, there will be heat, and it cometh to pass. Ye hypocrites, ye can discern the face of the sky and of the earth. How is it that ye do not discern this time? And if you look, let's see if we can look up that word discern, right? Our people, right, do not discern this time. Yo, they're not seeing the times that are coming. Let's play the Greek word.
Strong's G 1381. Dokimadzo.
Right. It says to test, literally by implication, to approve, to allow, to discern, to examine. Right. It says to test or examine, to prove, to scrutinize. Right. To see whether a thing is genuine or not. To recognize as genuine after examination. Right. To approve, to deem worthy. Right. So you people do not recognize that this is the time of the end, yo. The word discern from the dictionary definition means to perceive or to recognize something, right? Do you not recognize that this is the very same time wherein the Heavenly Father will begin to visit the earth which he made, right? Now is the time, yo. Now is the time, right? Which is why the prophets are out here, yo. Which is why you're seeing all these different unrest and seditions, yo, right? That's why we're seeing all these things, yo, right? Protests rage from Barcelona to Hong Kong. I believe I looked up some different news articles about protests. Here we go, right? So if we Google the word protest, and we go to the news tab on Google, right, we can read a few of them. These are all recent articles. 1 hour ago, Lebanon protests, thousands demand fall of the regime in Beirut. 1 hour ago, Catalonia, which is in Spain, protests shut down Sagrada Familia Church in Barcelona. 1 hour ago again, Extinction Rebellion, Oxford Circus cleared by protesters, defy ban. Right, 3 hours ago, The Guardian, Hong Kong protesters in UK say they face pro-Beijing intimidation. 1 hour ago again, Extinction Rebellion, angry commuters drag protesters off London Tube. WhatsApp, 34 minutes ago, WhatsApp tax sparks night of austerity protests across Lebanon. 1 day ago, think of your family, China threatens European citizens over Xinjiang protests, right? Greta Thunberg, which is pretty much an agent, you know, suggests Extinction Rebellion protesters should break the law during demonstrations, right? And we have more. If you go to the next page, new generation, new taxes, changing face of Catalan protests. Thousands converge on Barcelona on the 5th day of Catalan protests. 5 charged over Extinction Rebellion tube protests. There are so many different examples, yo. You scroll through, right? The whole world is upside down, yo. Right? So how do you not discern this time, yo? Right? We're seeing so many geopolitical conflicts between America, you know, between America and Russia, between Europe and America even, right? We see this Brexit deal that's about to come to pass, which is pretty much going to shatter the European Union and the UK's economy, right? All these different things are prophecies being fulfilled, yo. So that's pretty much what I wanted to bring out, right? Again, Kalala Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakah Kodash, for giving me the spirit to this lesson. Shalom Akim.